Hey guys, it is kind of the end of the day for me in the 1st of January. It's past midnight, so it's technically second day in the year. But let's do a shave. I've been away visiting family and a little farther from the shaving area than I usually am, and so as a result, it was just one of those things where I was just too tired at the end of the day to do it. So I kind of just shaved every other day. I missed it in many respects. Astra Superior Platinum, with just about 7 or 8 uses on it, is going to go in my Wolfman Open Comb Guerrilla. I've been wanting to try some different blades in it. I've tried about 6 or so, and I am getting a little bit more blade feel, a little less of a consistency and smoothness. That I guess maybe the open comb nature of it is just allowing a little bit more of the blade to come through, and it doesn't feel as solid, as consistent and smooth as the solid bar. And so I'm experimenting with see if there's some blades that put it in a really nice light. So that's why we're bringing this razor and blade in. I haven't used this blade in this one yet. And another thing I'm trying to work out is this soap. I have, I think, pretty much with every lather I've made with it, had to go back and load more soap. So we're going to try something different today. Got to keep at it, right? Figure it out. I love the scent when the soap is right, when the lather is good. It is really good, but it takes a while of loading, and a lot of people are kind of agreeing on that. Oh, such a good scent, very manly. You can look in the description of the video. It was supposed to be maybe a hint of gasoline, but I don't guess I get that too much. More like leather and wood and cool Old Spice and musk and things like that. And so let's use it. And then my Saponificio Varesino brush, and it's an expensive brush. I did get this one used at a really good deal, and otherwise I would have held back. But now that I've got it, I'm a big fan. Get it in some water. It's got nice soft tips. Easy splay, handles. Seems to be pretty ergonomic enough. No complaints from grip and things like that. So it has fast risen up to be a favorite. See? I'm yawning. Alright, afterwards we'll throw on some Dunshire Stirling balm. Get my face wet. Actually, before I get my hands wet, let me put the blade in the razor. I like the way this big old thick handle for the Guerrilla will easily sit up on its own. No need for a stand with that one. So this, you can put the blade on top of here on these posts, but I find that it often pops off of that anyway. So I just put the blade in there close to normal alignment, and then just put this guy on top. And usually by the time I finish screwing in the handle, it has lined up, you know, pretty well. And so I just make sure that I get those posts in the blade. And there we go. We're good. Really solid in terms of the alignment, the way it holds the blade. Very strong clamping, and really pretty close to the edge. And so the base plate here comes pretty close to the edge on the bottom, and of course you can see how close to the edge the top cap comes. And so that's why I'm a little taken aback by kind of a little weirdness I'm feeling with the blade. But I did try a feather recently, or maybe it was a feather, but I recall feeling that several times. It's just not as kind of smooth, and I am a person who enjoys the smoother side of shaving instead of always having to be super aggressive and things like that. So let's just get my face wet now and load this brush. try to do our best to do it. So what I did last time, I did a 2-minute load because I came into it with the same knowledge I have now, with that I needed to load a lot. So I did a 2-minute load. You'd think that'd be enough, right? Well, I even dampened the brush a little bit more than I usually do. But as I watched the soap, it wasn't really super wet here in the tub as I was finishing that second minute. So I thought, you know what? Maybe it's the water. Maybe this soap really needs a lot of water. So let's just go to the extreme. Tons of water in the brush. Matter of fact, I think the instructions on the side of this soap tub tell you to do that. Load very wet shaving brush for 40 seconds with brisk circular motions. You know, that's the introductory part of it. So let's just take a really wet brush. I'll maybe give it 1 or 2 shakes and still keep a lot of water in it. Let's see what happens, all right? And then what I'll also do is monitor it. If the water, maybe if too much water leaks out and it's still keeping kind of pasty here in the tub, then I'll stop the loading process and add more water to it. And so we'll just make sure we have a lot of water, because maybe this soap just needs that water to be able to lift up and get into the brush. All right, now this is a nice knot that holds a ton of water. It's not super dense like some of the Declaration type knots and those high density knots that are out right now, and that's probably the reason why I love it. Let's give it 1 or 2 shakes like that, so it's really very watery. Matter of fact, see, it's still kind of going there. Let's give it 1 more shake, and then let's do 2 minutes. 5 rolls around right there, so we'll go to, that's 7:05. So we'll go to 9:05. Okay, I do see the water coming out on the soap, so that's good news. This may be overkill, you know, once we water it enough, maybe it doesn't need 2 minutes, but sometimes as you're experimenting, going too far, doing the overkill is where you need to go. Definitely seeing watery bubbles, so that's a good sign of a nice hydration. Up this soap here. The light pressure, not really digging in there. I'm not trying to get in there forcefully. Almost to the 1 minute mark. Yeah, it's getting a little bit of frothy and bubbly. I don't know if you can see that part. That's good. I don't think I got that before. Okay, we're past the 1 minute mark. If Ron, the maker of this, says that this base will run out for you quicker than the original base. His existing tallow base is going to last a lot longer for you. Indeed, I only use about half of a gram of soap per shave, and so about a year for one of those tubs to get used up. Now, yeah, look at that, look at that. We've even got it overflowing like that. I think maybe we'll be in good shape this time. And just about 15 more seconds. This is obscenely, greatly more long time, many hours than I usually load. And there we go. So that's 2 minutes. Lots of water. I usually do 30 seconds and it's way too much loading. And then I walk away with, you know, 6 passes of lather with, you know, 30 seconds of loading. So, if you're a budget user, this may be a soap base to avoid if you really need your soap to go a long way. However, I have a lot of soap, and I did get this one. Oh, actually, I bought this one new, I believe. Sounded really good. I like the company. I like the the theory, the idea, the love for one's father and father figures that poured into making this soap. And I definitely, that's the kind of thing that will often make me pull the trigger on a new soap instead of waiting until it's used. All right, now let's just see what happens. Here is the way the brush looks. You know, for 2 minutes of loading, that doesn't look like a lot of soap. Now it did stop looking really liquidy. It's maybe 60% of the way through the loading process, and so in theory I could have stopped at that point to add more water, but I figured let's go with this and see what happens, because I really came into it with quite a bit of water. And we can go ahead and not have to add water slowly. Put 2 teaspoons in there. Oh man, what a great scent. Getting some of the leather and musky and old spicy kind of notes coming up. Why not add another teaspoon now? The brush kind of absorbs some of that water. You know, 2 teaspoons is a good bit, but it kind of disappeared. So you know where it must have gone? Into the brush to kind of combine to form lather. So what we then need to do is keep adding the water until the brush starts to release, and the brush has enough water in it to kind of sustain itself, to be the lather that it needs in itself, and then it will start turning into a lather and coming out of the brush. This looks pretty good, folks, I may have discovered. Now, of course, face lather is totally different. Maybe the instructions on the puck are going to be more along the lines of what a face latherer might need. This is looking really good. 4 teaspoons in it now. And yes, when it takes this long to load, it can sometimes take a little while to get the lather where you want it to be and hydrate it properly. Now, you know, if I discover the magic amount, then, you know, what if next time I did the same thing as about loading, loaded for 2 minutes with a good bit of water in the brush, and then I just, instead of starting at 2 teaspoons of water right away into the soap, what if I started with 4? You know, and that could, in theory, help me to build up the lather quicker. Yeah, see, this is not tons of lather, but it looks like plenty enough to give me 3 passes of lather. Just gonna keep stirring and make sure I have a good consistent mix. Kind of foamy, a little bit frothy. Feels really good on your face, that's for sure. Sometimes you can get a different consistency by adding water more slowly. Feel free to try that if you want, but this one takes a good bit of time, and so I do like mixing up a good lather and taking a few minutes to do it. But I don't think I'm interested in slowly adding to this particular lather and taking more time. Yeah, there we go. I think we're good. Let's just try this. Now I've got the Dunshire balm, and I did not pick it because I thought it agreed with the oil. I just picked it because it was here. It smells okay, but it's actually a pretty weak balm for whatever reason. And so it goes with everything because it's almost unscented. This lather looks pretty good. This might be just right. See, I'm not getting a ton of excess built up on the sides that falls off. So I like that. That often means that I've not watered the soap enough. And so as I generate on my face, then more lather gets built up off the side so much that the brush just can't hold it anymore and it falls off. Kind of like that, but just in greater quantities. One of those dollops falling off is not a big deal. But when it really happens quite a bit is when I start to think that maybe I didn't quite completely get the mix properly done. I think we're about ready. Plus, see, notice around my goatee here that if you're a regular watcher, you'll know that many times I have kind of scraped off a ton of lather that's gathered around there. And so because I don't have that around, I'm just enjoying the brush. So I'm just going to keep on going while I'm talking. Because I don't have a bunch of intense lather gathered around there, then I think I'm on track here. I think we've got a very nice, well-hydrated lather. All right, let's see what the Astra, a popular blade, and for good reason. For me, it, like many people, it works with pretty much every razor I've got, and I've got a lot. And it's a nice cutter, and it's a budget price. It's a kind of a mid-range blade for me in terms of my thoughts about cost and all that. It's not as cheap as something like maybe a Wilkinson sword, but it does perform a lot better than those Wilkinson swords do. And right now, even at 7 or 8 uses, it is easily moving through 2 days of growth. It's very nicely cutting today. So we'll just have to see how it feels by the end of the shave. So far, very positive about the feelings I'm getting from this. I'm not feeling aggression and kind of tenuous blade feel. Oh, that's very wet. That's a nice high performance lather here. This is a really good combination. This may be one of my favorite blades with this razor. Performing so well with 2 days of growth, it would be even better with just a normal 1 day of growth. We do a rinse. If this lather needs improvement, it may be because I watered it down a little bit too much, but it's performing really well. The slickness is just tremendous. So let us charge up the brush Put on the second coat. Oh man, the smell is so nice. What a good one. With scents like this and Midnight Stag and Stirling Mountain Man and Sherlock. Mountain Man's not really in the as much as the manly category. It's a little bit more cologne-y, a little bit more applicable to more people. I'm talking, you know, Sherlock, Midnight Stag, this one, which is what, Loyal, Mammoth Stones, just manly, meaty, woody notes, and, you know, musky, spicy, just terrific. This is my favorite genre. Now let's see if we get any aggression buildup, any irritation buildup with this blade in this razor, because that's kind of what has happened with other blades. Sometimes with certain razors, you don't want, or at least I don't want, the sharpest blade out there. Sometimes the smoothest, as long as it cuts properly, is the one that I want. And this one might hit that mark. Going well so far. We rinse. I did get a better lather, and I'm glad that I, for the second pass, dabbed my face with a towel. I did that again. So this guy is just a little bit too wet, but the performance, like I said, the razor is just gliding swiftly, comfortably across my face. I feel like I'm getting good protection. It doesn't have to be all cloudy and thick. And there we go. And I've got enough for another pass. Not a whole lot more, but enough for another pass. So, what does that mean? Maybe more water toward the end next time. Maybe leave my brush sopping wet, Marco method style, instead of shaking any out. Just leave it as wet as it'll stay. Maybe try that next time. Now let's see if this third pass brings up any irritation, because, you know, maybe my skin is kind of feeling like it's been overshaved. Now, I'll bet I might have been able to stop with 2 passes. And then we will go this direction. Oh, that's pretty nice. Carefully. And that's a cross grain from the opposite direction for me. Oh man, that is a smooth feeling face. Nice. Well, that's what happens when you keep trying things. I got a very comfortable shave with, I don't really think I've got any irritation at all. Razor burn, speaking of. Definitely didn't have any brush burn. This is a really comfy brush. And the closeness right here is exceptional. Many of the hairs look like they've been cut a little bit lower than the surface of the skin. So I'm not even seeing the tips of the hairs. And I definitely don't see any hairs with any kind of length on them. And so that is exceptional for me. That is terrific. So in terms of this razor, this blade might be the best one I've got for it, which is great because it's so cheap, right? We'll keep playing around, trying other blades with it. And this is also not a brand new Astra Platinum. It's many people throw blades away after 3 uses. Well, this one's at its 7th or 8th use, or 8th or 9th, or something like that. And it performed exceptionally well and comfortably too. And that is what I really go for. I like the Guerrilla from Wolfman. I have since the very beginning, and I was the solid bar. The open comb is kind of new to me. I haven't shaved a ton with it. I was really hoping to find a blade that did well for me with it, that didn't quite, because I like the smoothness of the shaves, and I was hoping to find a blade that worked like that with this razor, instead of having it be quite so edgy like it is with the feather for me. Some people may need to put a feather in it to get a great shave, and that's okay. My skin, a little bit different. But really sweet, really happy about that. So let's throw on some of this Dunshire, and I can get to sleep, because my 5-hour energy that I use to drive is wearing off. There we go. Face was still a little wet, and so the balm applied smoothly and really nicely. Just a hint, small hint of scent from the Dunshire. Kind of like, it's supposed to be similar to Acquadigio. The reason I bought it was because of that. I really like the Acquadigio scent. All right, 4 teaspoons of water, I think. Did I put all 6 in? I think it was just 4. And like I showed you, we could do another pass, no problem, if we needed to. Not a lot more than that, but there we go. So I think the 2 minutes of loading, it seems like a lot, right? 2 minutes of loading and just a really, really wet brush. So I think next for this soap base, let's do the 2 minutes of loading with a completely saturated brush, not shaking any out or anything like that, and seeing how it goes, right? Maybe even see what can happen if you come at it with too much water. So much just spills out, and you're not able to have that be a part of your process. And so maybe adding more water to the soap halfway through the loading process might be a good shortcut to making sure you get up enough soap. I don't really want to load a soap any longer than 2 minutes, but I guess I will if I have to, especially for a soap like this. There we go. All right, well, I am smelling good, all sorts of goodness. With 2 minutes of loading, I could definitely see how this soap could get used up a lot quicker. So maybe a weakness with this particular silk tallow base. But especially if you have it in a cycle, you could still get a dose of it every week or every 2 weeks, a rotation, you know, of other soaps. Get a dose of it every couple of weeks, and that'll extend your enjoyment of it for quite some time. All right, guys, this is a longer video than usual because this lather takes a little while to put together. So this might be one that it might be worth to look at it and try to refine it a little bit, maybe add more water in the beginning so that you know when to stop, because it's when it looks good, you know. So maybe next time, do I want to reduce the water? Yeah, maybe next time just do 3 teaspoons, because I guess total water might be 4. I don't know, hard to say, because what I'm thinking about is trying to make sure I get more water into the brush as it's loading. And so then that might mean that I don't need to add as much later. So I don't know exactly where I might shoot. So I'll have to pay attention to the texture, that sort of thing. All right. Well, I hope this helps you guys. I sure am grateful for Chiseled Face for putting out such a great product, even if it is a little quirky, not quite as easy to load. Easy to load and lather and stuff. It seems to be a pretty big important characteristic for a lot of shavers out there. The soap makers often tout it and are proud of an easy loading soap, but to me, I want the best lather, and if it takes me 2 minutes longer to make it, I don't care. That's fine with me. I'd much rather have a prime lather than have one that was easy to put together, save me a little bit of time or something. Of course, I'm a night shaver, so I can have that luxury, right? So I like the quality of the lathers that I get with my method. Anyway, so this is Silk Tallow. Thank you, Ron, for putting together this amazing formula. I really enjoy it, the feel of it, all that. And then the performance. It was too wet, and that was my bad. But the performance was still extra slick and protective. Felt just tremendous. The razor was moving easily moving around without hesitation. And skin very protected. So that's exactly what a lather is supposed to do. Next time maybe I won't make it quite so watery. And then maybe I'll get those similar good things, but then also have a night. Well, you know what? I still, even though it was a little wet, I still had a nice luxury feel when I was rinsing because of all the moisturizing type ingredients in this soap base. And so maybe this is the perfect lather for me. Maybe this is right where it needs to be. We'll just keep using it and see where we end up. You guys, take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope there's something in this video to help you out. Good night.